Hundreds of displaced victims of the communal violence in Sola Kalba district of the Savannah region continue to flee their homes amidst food safety and security concerns.
A lot later, the National Disaster Management Organization begins evacuation of residents living along the White Volta following the spillage of the Bahre Dam in neighboring Burkina Faso.
Wednesday, the 27th of August. I am Kamenia Mano. This is News Central.
And I am Mawina Igbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
In our first story, hundreds of displaced victims of communal violence, particularly women, children, and other vulnerable groups in the Sola Kalba district, continue to flee their homes amid food security and safety concerns. Though more security forces have been deployed to the area to prevent further escalation of the conflict, tensions remain high. Communities such as Gbenyere, Kalba, Seliri, and Nasoyere near Sola and Bodi, Kakiase, Bogbada, and Doli, among others, have been abandoned. Now, on Monday, August 26, the Inspector General of Police, among other top security operatives, and Savannah Regional Security Council visited the affected communities and reassured them of their safety while calling for a ceasefire. 10 lives have reportedly been lost since the incident occurred on Sunday. We will be crossing over to Sola to engage Christopher Amwako on this rather disturbing development. But first, let's take a listen to the IDP and the Savannah Regional Minister.
My expectations, yes, it really meet my expectation because since I came, we don't hear any gunshots and all those things because the security personnel have actually taken the ground and then making sure that life will return to normalcy. Yes, so I can say that we are firmly on the ground, the police, military, and other security services working together to make sure that life returns. If things are not well, passing through this tough terrain, several kilometers to get here, it will be difficult for you and I to get here. But your observation shows that at least, the gunfire has come down. And then all we want is that how we have to work together to bring peace so that people can now return to their settlements without any fear of being attacked. That is the stage in which we are working.
Okay, just the last one from me.
Then there was an emergency they have to respond to, and they went to respond to the emergency. And
does it mean that they all left the community?
The most important is that they have to protect life, and then later on they protect property. And they took the first option of protecting life. Yes, it is enormous. And I think with that, we have to now increase the numbers of the police that have to be on the ground over there so that, when others are not there, others can be there to hold the fort.
Unfortunately, many lives have been lost, but it is not beyond our resolution. All parties can sit together and be able to resolve it. We are one people, we are in the same community, we interact, we intermarry, we interrelate frequently. And in fact, I was very happy when I went to Kabawere's palace. In Kabawere's palace, there was also a Breford man who was sitting with him and with all the people. And that shows how the society should be organized and respected. This is a situation that we must embrace ourselves. But we must really stop the attacks at various areas, which is actually spreading to other areas. We must stop it. I'm calling on all to put down the arms. Let's douse the fire and then see how best we can reintegrate and understand each other's role. No one is questioning that. And anyone who is actually here knows that the land is not for any other person but the chiefs. And then we can get around and do even documentation to recognize everybody's interest in the land. And the allodial interest should always be held by the Igbonwa and his paramount chiefs and subjects. This is
Well, let's bring you more on that rather disturbing story. And Christopher Marco is our man on the ground. Chris, listen, we talked about this yesterday. Since the IGP's visit, what has changed?
Yes, so Kevin, if you can hear me, I must say that in the various communities where these attacks were recorded right from Sunday, we are not seeing the tensions as it used to be. But what we are seeing right now is the continuous fleeing of people from the affected communities to safety. Yesterday in the night, we reported that more people continue to flee their communities to safety in the Sola Tuna Kaba area. And today, the situation doesn't seem to be different from what we reported yesterday, because right now, since morning, more people continue to flee their communities to the Sola police station, to be precise, for safety. One other critical issue is that when they get here, where to lay their heads and what to do next is another issue. But thankfully, NADMO officials, Red Cross, and other government officials are here assisting the people who flee from their communities.
I see. So what does the assistance look like? Because there are concerns about, the scale of problem we could be having on our hands as far as humanitarian efforts are concerned. So talk to us about that.
Yes, so Kevin, since yesterday, the gender minister has authorized the Ghana School Feeding Program Coordinator in the Savannah region to ensure that they provide some food supplies to the affected victims. And so since yesterday in the night, they have been supplying this food. I'm told that the gender minister herself is on her way to the grounds to ascertain first-hand information about what is happening and how they can quickly mobilize more resources to come in. The member of parliament has also been doing his bit. The district chief executive has equally, through the assembly, been providing some food items to the displaced victims. But, Kemini, one thing is that the food is not enough to do for the numbers of people who are here seeking refuge. Let's take a listen to the Savannah Regional Coordinator of the Ghana School Feeding Program, who brought the food on behalf of the Gender Minister.
Akwatia Fishabawadochi, Savannah Regional Coordinator, Ghana School Feeding Program. I received a call this morning from my national coordinator, Hajia Fatifogo, telling me that she, together with the gender minister, are coming to Damango so that we proceed to Sola and see to the welfare of our victims here. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the ticket for today. So the gender minister, through the social welfare protection, decided to organize some hundreds of packs of food and some water to come here to Sola and give to the victims of this unfortunate situation. And also promised that, God willing, tomorrow she herself will be here first thing to check on the victims as well. And then truly, when we arrive here in Sola, the situation we met here is so terrible. So not just the gender ministry or Ghana School Feeding Program, we also appeal to stakeholders to come to their aid and support them with food, because the suffering is too much. And we also pray for calm. We pray for peace to prevail for the betterment of Savannah region. Thank you very much.
Oh, now, Christopher, listen, we talked earlier about the vulnerable groups, women and children and people with disabilities. Talk to us about how people generally are coping.
I can't say it's good for them because already the situation doesn't seem good. But I must say that it's not looking too good at all because most of them who arrived here, but for the food that was supplied yesterday and this morning. Most of them have not had anything to eat. Now, let's also look at how they even got here. Some of them are persons living with disability, visually impaired, physically disabled. We also have some nursing mothers amongst them. Let's take a listen to one of them, a visually impaired person, sharing her plight about the whole situation.
Jana mi jona ko tanu na mi to sana obi so mi mu bedu ha mi hu nya mi ye sisi mi ti wo mi hu ba bia mi ti ho mi hu ba bia nte mi pa chaw ye be ya na mo bo na mi so na mi ye yi mi ti mi hu kakra
na obedu ha no where did say na brabo na
mi bedu ha mi didi e fe na mo di koko ba e kura mo nya ma mi bi
o ba da men
mi ba ndu anajo koko mo nya ma mi bi.
Oh, sounds very tough there. But Christopher, listen, the woman talks about how she had not been fed. What do you know about the structure in place in terms of, the sharing of humanitarian relief? Well, my understanding, we lost Christopher over the line. We'll continue to follow the story and bring you more in subsequent broadcasts.
And we'll bring you a bit more in terms of stories here, and we'll bring you a bit more on this if you stay with us here on TV3. But it's another year and another disaster in the offing. That's the question on the minds of residents in the Upper East region, as the white voter has already drunk to its full and is beginning to overflow its banks following the spilling of the Bakri and Kompienga dams in Burkina Faso. Already, Regional Disaster Assessment Team of NADMO, together with the talented District Management, Disaster Management Committee, have visited the residents living along the white voter, providing early warning signals to them or persons who may be negatively affected by the spillage of the dam. And we know that water from the two dams were opened on Monday and expected to hit the white voter the midnight of today. That's already happened. And now there are fears of even greater havoc this year. Let's connect right now with Tanku, who is joining us. It's my colleague, our East Regional Correspondent, who's joining us via phone right now. Tanku Rabiu. Rabiu, yesterday you mentioned that the waters will start to hit. We've got that confirmation. How is it right now in terms of the effects on residents living along the white voter?
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. Yes, it is expected to hit the white water midnight, but there's an increase already in the white water since last 9 days. So it's already on the high, and probably the water from the Bagre Dam will hit the white water. It is depending on the volume and speed, because it is a controlled spillage, and that is why all the six flat gates at the Bagre Dam were not open at once to pave way for residents and farmers to relocate. As I speak, to farms along this stretch have begun to submerge, but residents and their livestock have been evacuated and moved to higher grounds for safety. Also, the food security will be a big issue after the spillage, because large quantities of food will be lost, and this will increase the price of available food at a high. And then what is also happening is that NADMO has activated the Operation Standard Board in Walwale as part of rescue and flood management system mapping.
Let's hear from NADMO, because we know you've been speaking to them. Let's hear from the regional director who's been speaking to you first off. Then we'll come to the residents and really what the dangers are for them, the farmers as well. Let's listen to the NADMO reps from the region.
We are here at Nungu this afternoon to sensitize farmers, communities along the white voter, following information that spillage will be done on the 24th of this month. We took it upon ourselves to come
Tanko, that's the NADMO, but you've been engaging the farmers as well, persons who will be affected again this year by the spillage of this dam. What have they been telling you, Tanko?
Yeah, residents, as you know, market, they always lament about this situation. Yesterday, when we had most of them were not happy because they have left their farmlands, and then what they were able to, harvested were too very low. So they are not happy because large part of their homes are still there. And then after I speak to you, the water began to enter through the farm. So most of them are saying that if the problem of Purpose Dam can be, constructed as soon as possible, they'll be happy because annually this is happening, and then it's worrying. And then also we also had William Brixton saying that the Northern Caucus is going to establish own dams as an alternative measure. As they wait for the construction of the dam. So they are waiting for that initiative to happen in order to, for them to save, their crops.
Let's hear from that farmer as well, who Tanko's been engaging.
Past years now, the Baghdad Dam has been worrying farmers, and it has been a serious problem for the farmers in this community. We lost our farm produce during this particular time. Most of this time, the lives have been lost through this particular spillage. Now, I want to use this opportunity to thank NATMO for your immediate intervention by coming to talk to farmers and the community about the impending spillage that is coming. I want to use this opportunity to also thank every officer, officers that leave their busy schedules to come and talk to us. This particular moment, I also use this particular time to appeal to all farmers and people in the community that they should just stand on this particular advice and heed to what we have heard so far, so that at the end of the day, we will not have a loss of lives.
And that's one of the farmers. Tanko, thank you very much for those updates, and I'm sure this is not the last we're hearing of this, but we know that local authorities as well have been speaking. Let's hear from the DC for the area, as well as an assembly member who've as well been speaking to interventions being put in place to ensure this time around, hopefully, there isn't that much of a damage.
DC, the police commander, and then the team that have come to the community, at least to have first-hand information and then inform us, and then to educate the people what they be doing and what they should be doing when they spill the water. Yes, we are all taking it up serious, and then we are looking at what we go, and we are monitoring the airway. So we are confidently they will comply. And then this is not the first time there have been indication on those things. And even the locals, when it gets to this time, we are always actually taking things very serious. And then we are on watch out, our children, our women, then we shouldn't be crossing the river. So we appreciate and we thank them.
Yeah, so far, I think today what I'm seeing here on the water, the level has gone down. So maybe we are waiting to see whether by midnight there will be more water coming in. So I was here on Sunday in the afternoon, and what I saw, I've gone down there to look at the measurement. And even I look at what's happening here, the water level has actually gone down from what I saw on last Sunday. Oh yeah, for that one, I can say for Talency, we are up to the game. Because as I stated, when I heard that, initially it was supposed to be Wednesday tomorrow that they would spill the water. But later on, the information came back and said Monday yesterday. But I was ahead of the spilling time. So on Sunday, I was here ahead of time. I sensitized all the community members, all farmers, and I made them to register those who had farm inputs, and they have not taken. They should let us know. And then, in fact, by then, I knew that the information on the ground had already been well spread,
and people are on the safe side.
Away from that, Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Martin Kwekweyisi, has been reassigned to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Government sources confirmed the move to 3 News. The reasons for his reassignment are not yet clear, but it comes after months of mounting pressure on government to remove him from office. Back in April, the National Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association accused the Minerals Commission under EC's leadership of failing to provide effective solutions in the fight against illegal mining. The association argued that the Commission's actions and inactions worsened land and water degradation. They insisted that reforms at the Commission were critical if government's anti-Galamsey campaign was to succeed. Well, let's have a chat on the back of this. We're now joined by President of the National Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association, Michael Kwejo Prepra. Good afternoon, Michael. Now, government appears to have finally yielded to the demands that you have made some time ago. How does this assignment come to you? Good news, I suppose.
First of all, let me extend my greetings to your viewers. It's a refreshing news. And as a matter of fact, we thank His Excellency, the President of this Republic. You know, AEC was at the Minerals Commission before he resigned, and later, when the previous government came into power, he was part of the transitional board that sought to transit from the previous government, that was the present government, to make sure that they streamline the activities of the Minerals Commission. He became the deputy CEO of the Minerals Commission and later became the CEO of the Minerals Commission. We've been talking about Galamsey problem and how best we can easily resolve or streamline these activities that has been faced us as a country. By the past 8 years, we can attest to the fact that no new ideas was brought forth to make sure that at least we can salvage the problems that has been faced us as a country. So we were calling on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to bring people with better expertise, with new ideas, so that at least this Galamsey thing can be reduced to its minimal distraction. So I think that is the reason why we were pressing on government.
And today, we, that has happened for you, right? But from the Minerals Commission to the Lands and Natural Resources Commission, what difference does that make for you as far as the...
Yes, we were surprised he's been reassigned in a sense that he's not a public worker. And as a matter of fact, he was being appointed. And we don't see any new ideas that he can bring forth in trying to solve this problem. But we will leave it for another day. But what we are saying is...
should he have been fired instead?
He should be sacked because for the past 8 years, now we are still talking about Galamsey. Now the problem has compounded when he became the CEO of Minerals Commission. He couldn't bring about new strategies to try and resolve this problem. The bureaucracy involved in even acquiring the licenses under his watch, he couldn't do anything better to salvage the issue. If you remember, government brought about this community mining that failed woefully. That was his idea. If you remember, when government initiated the gold for oil, that was his idea. It failed woefully. Remember when the lithium agreement came into existence? He was so much in defense of the previous government. Yes, so the country was against the agreement we had with the company. So we are calling, or we were in a view that at least he has leave this war coming. As a matter of fact, you should have been kicked long time ago. But we would give we will thank government for what is done now, and we are expecting a new person who has expertise in that field to man that.
But let's talk about those expectations of the next CEO, right? What qualities do you look out for in that person?
I think somebody who is a listening manager, somebody who is a team player, somebody who would listen to we the small scale miners, because everything that happens in this field, we are the first people who have those information, and at least they will cordially work with the association so that we can also help in solving this issue.
Very well, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We've just heard from the National Small Scale Miners Association of Ghana, Pepra there. Now let's speak to the Deputy Director of Arusha, Ghana, Daryl Bosso. Daryl, perhaps the same conversation goes through with you, but when you listen to Pepra says that, look, he should have been fired instead of reassigned to the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much and good afternoon to you. I think, yes, we have for a long time been asking for the removal of the Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission. I mean, today the news is coming that he's been reassigned. I mean, it meets maybe our demands for him to remove from the Minerals Commission. But I guess, I mean, sending him to the ministry is also a way of tapping into other capacities that he has. We don't really understand. And it's been I would say, the practice of this government that when people are in position, they are not performing or they are not living up to expectation, instead of making sure that they are removed, they get them reassigned to other. I mean, the thing that public service they do all the time. So we can't really say why the man has been reassigned to the ministry. I see that he's still going to be able to pursue the agenda that he wants to see when it comes to the mineral sector, and it for me doesn't solve the problem. The fact is that what we need is that same person is not at the helm of the Minerals Commission, and we need somebody who can bring in some more changes, one that is also inclusive, participatory, and ensure that the process is also transparent. So it's good for us to hear that he's no longer in charge of the Minerals Commission. We are waiting to see who else is going to be appointed to be there. But as his reassignment, I cannot speak to that, and I don't know why he did that. So
Daryl, as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned, right, what does AEC's removal from the Minerals Commission mean for for the fight against unethical and illegal mining?
You know, I think what we were always hearing was that the Minerals Commission was only regulating legal mining, which for us was a very flawed thinking for an institution that is supposed to be supervising how Ghana will explore or take advantage of this natural resource, particularly the minerals. And so if you see people engaging in illegality, you need to be concerned about it. It shouldn't only be about those that are legal, because if people are going to exploit resources illegally, it's in a way going to affect your turnover for the minerals that you are supposed to superintend or supervise. So to a large extent, I think that removing him, we feel that he has also been in charge and superintendent of a lot of the irregularities within the system, the escalation in the issuance of minerals and mining licenses, covering many areas across the country without any safeguard. So for me, and seeing that there's going to be a new person in charge is very, very important. Let's see how this person also ensures. It's not a matter of the policy of the government and how the new person is going to execute that. So, while as long as he's still not in charge, we think that is good. It's been a call we've been making for a long time. So to see this coming, even though rather late in the month of the year, it feels very much welcome, and we are looking forward to the changes ahead.
Let's talk about those changes, right? With the focus on ethical mining, what are the top 3 areas you want the new CEO to tackle?
Yeah, I think there's issue about ethical mining. Will be always people have been saying they want to do responsible mining. I mean, responsible mining starts with you making sure that the license you are giving is on merit and people are doing the right thing on site and there's enough supervision. Again, you need to clearly delineate areas that are sensitive, critical areas that doesn't have to be mined. So you need to have boundaries as a Minerals Commission. You cannot decide that because Ghana has a lot of gold, anywhere is open for mining. We need a system where you respect those boundaries and also respect integrated land use systems across the country. Then we should also ensure that the process is transparent and also accountable, and at the same time is inclusive, where communities are given opportunity to have a say in what is given out and not just sit in their community and then they be surprised by somebody coming with a mining permit, a mining lease, and say, I've been given a mining lease, I'm coming to mine. All of these things need to be checked going forward. And that's what we are looking forward to. And I think the current review of the minerals and mining policy, as well as Terminal 3, should see all of these things articulated effectively.
Daryl, we'll leave it here. I appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Daryl Bosu is with Arusha, Ghana.
Let's move away from that. And a devastating fire swept through the Suame market on Tuesday night, reducing over 100 merchant sheds to ashes and destroying countless goods. The inferno has left traders facing immense losses, with their wares and livelihoods completely wiped out. Ibrahim Abubakar is at the scene right now. Let's connect with him for a bit more right now this afternoon. Ibrahim, talk to us. You've been there. You've seen the extent of devastation. What can you tell us?
Well, Mauna, for now, I can tell you that the situation has been brought under total control, but we still have some of the fire victims who are trying to see whether they will be able to salvage some of their belongings, even though clearly you can see that everything has been burnt into ashes. In fact, the concern was that the fire service personnel came late, but when you look at when the incident is said to have happened around 10 p.m. and the time the fire service office received the distress call, you can see that there is a 1 hour gap. So possibly they were trying to see whether they can fight the fire by themselves, and eventually when they couldn't, they decided to call the fire service personnel. And by the time they got there, everything is gone. And even getting the access to the place was quite a huge challenge for them, and they couldn't penetrate further. But when they got, they had to do everything possible to ensure that it doesn't go beyond it. Over 100 shops, you can imagine the extent of damage. These are people who just restocked their shop. For some of them, just a week ago, they told me that they went for loan and restocked their shop, only to wake up this morning to see everything disappearing. So for now, they are just counting on government. We've seen the NADMO at the scene. The regional minister has also hinted that he will visit the scene. So they are just hoping that by the time everything is done, government will, one way or the other, offer them some form of assistance to be able to return to business. Let's listen to what some of the fire victims have been telling us.
No, so come and free and me free na about anaju 8. It's by anaju 11. My friend me catch me say Ganeshi. To me so me use car and me fat trotro. Me free. Me take chrono francho. Me free one man me do as a fire service for ha. Omo bo ase nka omo bedum no so. Si bia na structure ni city no mu so ba bia na nso. Nti sana esi ye nya bibia amfa.
We come for the ewa. We dem na shi na me dey. O si ama kwaje. We dem metia. Me dem metia.
Ibrahim, a bit difficult hearing some of the women wail, but you've been engaging the fire officials as well. What explanations have they been offering as to what may have started this fire and what investigations could possibly reveal? We know there's always been that ever-persistent problem of cocaine in the market and pathways to the market to fight fires, amongst others.
Well, exactly. That's what even contributed to the spread or the quick spread of the fire. Explosion coming from all angles, signifying that people still have cylinders in the market. I know that there have been recommendations over and over by the fire service that people should refrain from cooking in the market. And these are some of the results. In fact, for now, they are investigating. We do not know exactly what caused it. But then preliminary reports point to some electrical fault. I engaged with the Ashanti Regional Fire Commander, ACFO, Peter Tete. Let's listen to what he has to share.
From this side, near the electric pole, that is what, and the fire spread very rapidly. And what they saw was a lot of explosions from gas cylinders. The sheds here are 192, and then the stores are made up of 25. at least those who these were actually involved in the fire. Very difficult to get access. And you know, where the fire has been parked on the road, you have to lay a lot of hoses before you get inside, which makes it firefighting very difficult.
Ibrahim, thank you. I'm sure when the regional minister does arrive, we'll get a bit more details from you. That's my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar from for us in the Ashanti region. And he'll take us on to our very first break here on the bulletin. When we return, we're in Akwatia ahead of that by-election because the Electoral Commission in the region has been meeting with the political parties. We'll get the details of what that meeting entails if you stay with us shortly.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old
As a by-election in Akwatia draws closer, the people there are asking for a change. They say years of lack of development have left them impoverished. Beatrice Edu was in Akwatia and came through with this report.
The sun has set here in Akwatia in the Denchembo district. And the residents here, over 30,000 of them, have had to return to their various homes, whether or not they had jobs to do today. But that is where the district assembly, the Denchembo district, comes in, because it is one of many institutions within the country's local governance system empowered by the laws of Ghana to champion development in various areas, district and municipal assemblies. The question still remains as to whether or not the people are getting what they deserve as citizens of Ghana. In the middle of the recently carved district of Denchembo in the eastern region is Akwatia, a community that has enriched Ghana since 1919 because of the mining of diamonds. Akwatia, through the then Consolidated Diamonds, has given the nation over 100 million carats of diamonds. Once the diamond capital of Ghana, today it is a community in decline. Years after the fall of Ghana Consolidated Diamonds, its people say they are left with poverty, bad roads and broken promises. Challenges with the mining company means that the hundreds of people who were employed and making a living through the official mining of diamonds have had to find other means of survival: illegal mining and petty trading. Consequently, the lack of proper social amenities has made things worse. The Kontihine of Achimwenchi, Bafo Ahenejima, is worried.
We don't vote on issues, that is what I would say. Per what I've seen, we mostly don't vote on issues, but we look at sometimes the personality. But I would say, all politicians, they will promise heaven, and forgetting that they do not control the budget. A living condition is a bit expensive here, being a mining area.
He wants things to change.
Nobody will want to live here when at the end of early morning we're thinking about what to feed his or family. So I believe that if we are able to create avenues for our people, they all want to live in their communities. And I believe if there are job and opportunities here, no one will want to go and live in containers, ghettos and others, while there are accommodation in their villages.
The people of Akwatia say they are impoverished from bad roads and inadequate health and educational facilities. It appears that they are being ripped off year after year and election after election.
We need development around. Our roads are not good. We don't have any good infrastructure around, so we need them to come and help us.
My problem is, kwaena enamuso no toprema e fit toprema kwa so kosi adwuna se kwa no enye nti boadu ha se ko toprema no ensuo to a ye bre wa ha.
So the road is very bad. Your main concern is the road.
Yeah, the road is bad.
From Boadu to a Plama road, please, no good. If MP come, make it come help, I'm finished.
I met the district chief executive for Denchembo, Umar Ahmed Tutu, who seems to want to make things work.
Basically, the moment you enter the districts, you realize most of our roads are not good. We have adjoining districts. We have Asamekesi, we have Kede. These two districts are giving us competition. So our roads are not good. You look at our health facilities, especially our CHIP centers. We are lagging behind most of these CHIP centers. You go to most of our educational institutions too, the furnitures that we need to help the students have access to education is also lacking. And most especially, sanitation, that is one of the serious aspects that is taking much of my time, which I hope with this government's resetting agenda, I will be able to take good steps to curb these sanitation issues in Denchembo district.
Another election beckons for the people of Akwatia, and already the police have retrieved weapons ostensibly to perpetrate violence and intimidate voters. The big question is, should by-elections continue to be held.
Beatrice, I do with that report. Let's take you to the eastern region and now specifically to Akwatia, where the Electoral Commission is holding its final meeting with political party representatives ahead of next week's crucial parliamentary by-election. The contest will see Solomon Kwame Asumedu running on the ticket of the opposition NPP, facing off with Bernard Bediako Beidou of the governing party, the NDC, on Tuesday, September 2nd. A total of 52,338 registered voters across 119 polling stations are expected to choose a replacement for the deceased Member of Parliament, Ernest Yakumi. The EC has already dispatched electoral materials to Akwatia, and this afternoon's meeting is expected to finalize the modalities for the polls. Yvonne Nikwe has been hanging around this meeting. She's joining us with the latest from there. Yvonne, what can you report?
The meeting ended just about an hour ago. Looks like a fruitful deliberations by all the contending parties, meaning the NPP's representatives, the NDC representatives, and the LPG's representatives. All of these political parties had two representatives each attending the meeting. The consensus was that the electoral process should be adhered to, and then party agents at the polling station should adhere by their rules. And so, briefly, this is what has been going on for today's IPAC meeting.
Well, I see, Yvonne, that's all we have time for right now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Yvonne Nikwe is our Eastern Region correspondent who's been observing that final meeting between the Electoral Commission and representatives of political parties ahead of the September 2nd by-election in the Akwatia constituency.
Now, President of Singapore, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, has declared his confidence in the leadership of President John Mahama, describing his administration as being off to a strong start despite the challenges it inherited. In a bid to deepen bilateral ties, Singapore and Ghana aim to enhance political and economic relations as Ghana turns to Asia for trade and investment. In a short briefing, both presidents affirmed the Ghana-Singapore ancestral ties and expressed optimism about the future.
From those days, we've always viewed Ghana as a key player, not just in West Africa, but in Africa as a whole. I know you've inherited a very difficult set of challenges, but you're off to a very strong start in repairing the situation and re-injecting confidence in Ghana, and we in Singapore, in whatever way we can, through our government agencies as well as our companies, will do what is useful to support you in your efforts.
Thank you for your kind invitation to undertake this state visit. It's very important to us because, as you said, our values are shared. We have had historical ties from the period of our first presidents, and we view Singapore as a role model in our journey to create prosperity for our people.
If you know the development story very well, there's always that comparison between Ghana and Singapore and the fact that we started together and now the story is very much different. But right now, let's bring you by the numbers.
Well, now let's spotlight the safety of Ghana's presidential air travel. This comes in the wake of tragic helicopter crash that claimed the lives of 8 servicemen, 3 servicemen and 4 other politicians. A national loss that has brought fresh attention to how safely the country's leaders are transported. President John Dramani Mahama now finds himself relying on temporary measures. Ghana's official presidential jet, the Dassault Falcon 900 EX EASY, has been grounded in France for more than 4 months after engineers discovered extensive corrosion and engine damage. On his first international assignment since the state funeral, President Mahama flew commercial to Japan. Analysts say this sends the wrong signal to the international community and raises concerns about both safety and dignity of the presidency. Security analyst Professor Kwesi Yenen is calling for an end to the political tug of war over Ghana's presidential aircraft. Now, his message is direct. The conversation should no longer be about luxury or cost. It should be about national security, the credibility of the state, and above all, safety of the commander-in-chief.
Traveling first class on somebody's jet is not secure enough. We know with modern technology and AI, the president can barely cough before that cough can be interpreted in different ways. So purely for the security aspect, okay, having a jet that is secure, where Ghanaian intelligence and security officials have swept the jet and the president can work. Let's not forget, it is still an office in the air. What a presidential jet does is that it is an expression of the identity, the dignity. Whoever buys that jet as a president will only sit in it super maximum 8 years or 4 years. Okay, so it belongs to us, the people of Ghana. So sometimes we need to move away from the pettiness of who is getting what, who is enjoying. Let's rather say, we will provide you with all the tools and instruments for you to work.
Now, let's paint us a clear picture of the current state of Ghana's presidential jet, the Dassault, and just how serious the situation has become. Mawena will do just that. Mawena, what are we learning about the Dassault Falcon?
Well, what we know is that that's the current presidential jet that we have, and that's what's stoking the conversation as to whether or not the time is ripe for us to begin to look at purchasing a new one. That conversation has started, but let's try and get a bit more in terms of the status of this jet. It cost us $37 million at the time it arrived. Purchase started at about 2008. It was embroiled in a lot of controversy, but the purchase started under President John Agyekum Kufuor, but it arrived in 2010. The capacity takes 12 individuals can be on board at the same time. It does 4,500 nautical miles. There's that concern as to the fact that it has to stop for refueling, amongst many other things. These are the current issues we're having with this particular jet. Reason why the president has had to go commercial in this recent round of trips, even as he's in Singapore and having bilateral conversations. There's been severe corrosion in all the fuel tanks. That's been, I think, what most people have recent memory of the late former defense minister is his commentary on this presidential jets. The engine fan blade has suffered some damage as well. There's been electrical and starter faults. Again, we know it's been grounded for some time, 4+ months in France as a result of this. But putting this into a bit more perspective for us as a country in terms of our love affair with presidential luxury travel, if we can call it that, we've seen that jets became a thing from the Nkrumah era. And what can we talk about Ghana? What can we say about Ghana without starting from our founder and our, I like to call him our leader in terms of the thought process and everything that he conveyed at the time. 1962, he bought the DH-125 jet in 62. Then we saw the Fokker F-28 by General Achampong in 76. So what, a little over 10 years. We're looking at 14 years between when we bought this and that. Just apologies for that if you're watching. And then we saw the Gulfstream come through as well before 2010 again, where we saw this. But in terms of comparisons and the eras or how long these jets served, we see again that between this and this was around 14 years. And then between this and this was in excess of 15 years actually. The Fokker F-28 before Rollins bought a new one. And then we saw the Gulfstream do roughly 10 years, that's 8 years before the conversation started. And then the Falcon 900EX came through as well. And so we've had 4 jets in total in our presidential fleet history. And now it's looking the more and more like we have to begin to find new ways to get a new one. But on the Falcon again, this is data that we're getting that repair works per what we initially got, and this is insider sources as to when the jet should have arrived. We should have been talking the end of this month. As to whether or not it can make that return the end of this month still remains largely to be seen. There hasn't been any update just as yet because everybody is trying to shy away from the conversation, even as a lot more analysts are knocking on the door that, look, what we have is a flying coffin amongst many other things. And so this is where we are at. Professor Kwesi Enin, he's made his thoughts known. There are a lot more aspects who we'll be hearing from shortly as we try and put a few things together for a report as to a big question, whether or not we should be getting a new presidential jet. Different perspective from an aviation expert as well. We've heard from the security expert, and then as well from civil society who are making the argument on maintenance culture, because they're asking questions why we're having all of these many faults on a presidential jet, something that carries the first executive of the land. And that's one of the many things that we'll continue to look at.
And then also, we'll just remind ourselves that in the previous administration, these concerns of the president at the time, safety, was the reason that the Acropolis became a thing.
Absolutely. In fact, there are reports. At some point, there was reported engine failure whilst the former president was aboard. And that, if you understand being aboard an airplane and you're told the engines have gone off and all of that, that could scare you a little bit. But by the way, all of this and more as well by the research desk here at TV3. But that's it for you by the way of By the Numbers. That's our bulletin.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
I am Marwin Aigbeta.
And I am Kemeni Amano. We're back here same time tomorrow with another edition. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye from us.
If we swap.
Yeah.